Hey guys, so in today's video we are going to be talking about gerbil care. If you don't know, I currently have a set of gerbils. I have a pair of females that are about 2 years old. Their names are Chicken and Waffles. I've been asked so many times to do a gerbil care video, but I've been kind of hesitant to do it just because I am so new to gerbils. And before I got my gerbils and I was doing my research, I realized that gerbil care is not as easily accessible online as hamster care. Even though they are pretty similar animals, a lot more information is available about hamsters, and a lot of information care-wise regarding gerbils isn't set in stone, and there's not as much research backing it up, so I've been a little bit hesitant. But today I'm going to do a gerbil care video. This is not going to be a how you should take care of your gerbils, because like I said, I am still pretty new and I'm always learning. But instead, in today's video, I'm just going to be telling you exactly how I care for mine. I am always learning and I'm always down to improve my care, so if you see or hear anything in this video that you might not agree with, make sure to let me know down in the comments so I can look into it further. Before I jump into my gerbil care, I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor. Today's video is actually sponsored by Carefresh. You guys know I've worked with them so many times in the past because that is my go-to bedding, not only for my hamsters but for my gerbils also. Carefresh has actually started a brand new program called Carefresh Gives Back, where you can go to their website and nominate your favorite small pet rescue, and every month Carefresh picks a winner and they will send free Carefresh to that shelter. So every time a small pet goes to a new home, they get to go home with a bag of Carefresh. So if you have a shelter in your area that you think would be a good fit for this and you want to nominate them for the Carefresh Gives Back program, I will leave a link down in my video description. Make sure to click that and you can nominate your shelter. The first shelter that was nominated and won was actually in Edmond, Oklahoma. It was called All Paws Rescue. So they received the Carefresh for the first month, but a new winner will be announced on May 1st, and they're going to be doing it every month. I myself haven't nominated a shelter yet, so if you have any shelters you think I should look into, leave them in the comments below, and then I will pick one that I really like and I will go over to Carefresh Gives Back and nominate one myself. But thank you so much to Carefresh for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into how I care for my gerbils. Even though gerbil care does seem fairly subjective at this point and people have varying opinions, there are a couple things that I've found in general that most people will always agree on. The first thing that most people agree on is gerbils are social animals. You shouldn't have just one gerbil. You either need at least a pair of male or females. They can get very depressed when they're alone. They're kind of like rabbits or guinea pigs. So you do need a pair of gerbils, which is why I have a pair of females, Chicken and Waffles. The other thing a lot of people agree on is that they do need a lot of bedding. Some people do recommend this much bedding for hamsters also, but in general, a lot of people are going to recommend more bedding for gerbils than they do with hamsters. Generally, the recommended amount is about 10 to 12 inches, so it is a lot of bedding, so that is where Carefresh can come in handy because that is my go-to bedding. So the first section I want to talk about with my gerbil care is the cage. I currently keep my gerbils in a 40-gallon breeder aquarium, which is 36 inches by 18 inches, so it's right under 650 square inches of floor space. I really enjoy this size of enclosure for them. The only problem is 40-gallon breeders are pretty short, so if you want to give your gerbil a decent sized wheel, you can't really do that if you have 10 to 12 inches of bedding in there. In the past, I did try to separate it to give them a very big digging area and then keep the bedding a little bit lower on one side for the wheel, but they just made a mess and did whatever they want, so that really didn't work out. Since I was having such a hard time finding a way to give them a nice wheel with that much bedding, I went on Etsy and I actually got them a custom topper. I'll link the store I used down in the description of this video. They make toppers for about everything. I'm not getting paid for this. They didn't send it to me for free or anything. My mom actually got it for me for my birthday, but it is a really nice cage topper and it allows me to put in a wheel while still giving them enough bedding. Some people do have a problem when I show this topper because the floor is wire mesh. I think we can all agree that no small animal should be on wire mesh constantly because it can really hurt their feet, but there are a couple reasons that I am fine using wire mesh in this topper situation. The first reason being they spend a lot of their time down in the actual aquarium, in their burrows and in their tunnels. They're only up on the wire mesh usually to eat, drink, or get on and off their wheel. Most of the time they're not on the wire. Since they're able to escape the wire and they have a place to go and they're not on it all the time, I don't see an issue. I also cover a lot of the wire mesh with grass mats. This just helps her feet a little bit. Some people ask me why I don't cover the entire top, and the reason I don't do that, while it would be great for their feet, if I was to cover the entire top, that would cut off all ventilation down to the actual aquarium, and that would definitely not be a good thing because they need ventilation down there. So that's why I do leave some spaces in between the grass mats so that the whole enclosure can get proper ventilation. Next, I want to talk about the bedding I use for my gerbils. Like I said, I usually use around 10 to 12 inches of bedding. The main bedding that I go to is Carefresh. I have experimented with other stuff in the past, such as other types of paper bedding and Aspen, and I do throw some of those in sometimes, but in general, Carefresh is my go-to. The main reasons for this is it holds the burrows very, very well. I also mix in a little bit of orchard grass, and they really enjoy chewing this up and helping them burrow. But even on its own, Carefresh has done an amazing job for me holding their burrows. It's also very good at odor control, even though I don't see odor as a big of an issue with gerbils as I do with hamsters. And honestly, let's be real, I love all the colors Carefresh comes in. It allows me to switch up their enclosure a lot and do different themes and just make everything really fun and nice to look at. The next part of my gerbil care is wheels. Wheels are kind of debated in the gerbil community. With hamsters, everyone can agree that a hamster needs a wheel, but not everyone can agree if a gerbil actually needs a wheel or not. Personally, I have decided to provide wheels for mine. I actually give them 2 wheels just in case they both want to be on one at the same time. That cuts down on the chances of them fighting over it. Currently, I use Carolina Storm Express wheels. These have been my favorite wheels in the past for hamsters, so I decided to try them out with my gerbils. They are a little over 10 inches big, so I have found them to be a great size for an adult gerbil. They are made of plastic, and in general, I don't give my gerbils any plastic because they are very big chewers, but these wheels are the only exception. They haven't chewed them at all, and they've had plastic wheels for almost 2 years now, so I am comfortable giving them plastic wheels. I do check them frequently to make sure they're not chewing them, but that's the only plastic they get. But I use 2 Carolina Storm Express wheels. As far as what toys I give to my gerbils, like I mentioned with the wheels, I don't give them any plastic toys like I do with my hamsters, just because in general gerbils are a lot bigger chewers. My gerbils chew a ton. I try to stick with more natural toys for this reason, so either some cardboard or wood tunnels. My absolute go-to for them are bendy bridges. I not only like to give them bendy bridges up on their loft, I like to bury them down in the bedding, so when they're down there burrowing, they might find a bendy bridge and they already have this cool little nest down there that they don't even have to work at, and then they can just customize it however they want. So I do like to give them a lot of different textures of chews and toys, but wood, cardboard, and even loofah are my go-tos because they really seem to enjoy all of those. I just make sure to stay away from plastic or anything they can chew and accidentally ingest. For my gerbils diet, I keep it pretty simple. It is very similar to my hamsters. When you research hamsters, diet is something that you'll be able to find very specific information on. Gerbils, on the other hand, I haven't been able to find that information. Maybe I've just been missing it, but if you know where it is, let me know down in the comments. But the main food I give them is the Higgins Sunburst hamster and gerbil diet. It's the same food I feed to my hamsters. I also do feed them some of the Missouri rat and mouse pellets, but I don't give them as frequently as I do to my hamsters. They're just more of a treat. And speaking of treats, my gerbils don't really like treats. They mainly just like the seeds out of their food. They're not a big fan of commercial treats, so that's not really something I give them. I also do just scatter feed my gerbils. I don't give them a bowl because with so much bedding and everything, I found that a bowl wasn't working. Also with 2 gerbils, I like to scatter feed because it not only enriches them, but it makes it so that one gerbil can't just like stay by the food and not let the other gerbil eat, because I can sprinkle it throughout their cage to make sure everyone gets a fair bit of food. Along with trying to protect all the food, some people also use 2 water bottles. I have tried 2 water bottles in the past, but I noticed that they never use the second one. So currently I only have 1 water bottle. I do use a glass water bottle. Once again, I don't use any plastic besides the wheel, so I don't want them chewing through a water bottle, so I use a glass one from KT. Now just a few random bits of information that really didn't fit into any of the previous categories. I do give my gerbils a sand bath. They do use this to bathe, but mainly they use this as a bathroom, which at first can seem kind of irritating, but it actually helps keep the cage insanely clean because all I have to do is clean out that sand and I don't have to clean the bedding as often. I use Repti-Sand from the reptile section, not calcium sand, just plain reptile sand. There are other sands you can use, but that is the one that works best for me. Since they do use the sand as the bathroom most of the time, I don't do a full cage clean on them very often. I would say I only fully clean their cage once every 2 months. Since they go to the bathroom in the sand and there is just such a large amount of bedding, there's not really that much buildup of anything, so I don't find it necessary to clean them as often as I would with a hamster, even though there are 2 of them. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is where I might get a few nasty comments, is taming my gerbils. Some of you might know if you've watched my past videos, Chicken and Waffles actually are not hand tamed. This was a choice I made that some of you might not agree with, but it's one that I am happy with and I found works well for my care. Chicken and Waffles love being with each other. Of course, they're social animals, and I get my enjoyment out of seeing them interact with each other more than I do trying to interact with them myself. They're not afraid of me. They do come up to the front of the cage when I feed them and I open the door. It's not like they run away or anything. They're completely fine with me being in here. Usually every time I walk into the pet room, they actually come out, especially Chicken, to see what I'm doing, but I don't get them out and handle them. That's just not something I ever really felt the need to do. But of course, everyone's gonna have a different opinion on that. That's just what works for me. So that is just how I personally take care of my gerbils. Like I said, I'm still pretty new to them. This is my first pair of gerbils, so this definitely isn't a guide of how you should take care of yours. I'm still learning and I'm trying to learn more every day, but this has just been a good rundown of how I currently care for my pair of gerbils. If you have any care suggestions or if you know of any really good gerbil forums, make sure to let me know down in the comments so I can brush up on everything and hopefully learn some more. Thanks again to Carefresh for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click that link down in my description so you can nominate your shelter to be the recipient of the new Carefresh Gifts Back program. But that is going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.